Okay. We are live. Actually, you know what? I just realized something. Did I? It's my videos. Let me see my videos. Why wasn't any of this video uploaded? What? That was a live stream. That's weird. Okay. Well, we're live currently. And I know it is 7:35 in the morning and like nobody's up. But Kitty Cat. Kitty Cat, did you want to say hello to the YouTube audience? Say hello to YouTube. Say hi, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Now I can't get demonetized. Hi, YouTube. You want to say hi into the mic? Say, ah! Alright. Kitty, Daddy's gonna work now, okay? Alright, cool. So, I saw this video. PragerU versus YouTube, and I just kind of had to talk about it because it seemed dumb. For those of you who don't know, 2016, 2017, a lot of tech companies started cracking down on extremists on their site, both left-wing and right-wing extremists. It's just that a lot more right-wing people have been cracked down upon. Actually, that's not true. It was equal amounts, but people like Alex Jones were deplatformed. People like Steven Crowder were starting to get their videos demonetized, and PragerU was too. Actually, they don't make money on their videos, but they were starting to get age restricted. So now PragerU wants to be whiny little bitches about this and decides that they're going to spring for a lawsuit. So, yeah.
The most important lawsuit in America right now, and perhaps the free world, is Prager University versus YouTube.
Okay, I'm pretty sure if I were to take a look... Hold on, let's see. Let's see. Whether a common law claim of restoration seeking cleanup remedies. I don't know, this one sounds pretty important. Oh, here we go. Babb versus Wilkie. A case in the court which will decide whether a provision of the Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967 that protects federal employees aged 40 years from discrimination requires the plaintiff to prove that age was a but for a cause for the challenged personnel action. Seems pretty important, actually. Barton versus Barr. The case in the court will decide whether a lawfully attained permanent resident who is not seeking admission into the United States can be rendered inadmissible for the purposes of stop time rule. A case in which the court will decide whether Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits against employees discrimination because of sex, encompasses discrimination based on individual... This one. Holy shit. This one seems really important. No, this one. This is probably one of the... This one right here, this is probably one of the biggest ones that is going through our Supreme Court currently. Because this... And I hadn't heard about this, but this is actually very interesting. Because if this is the case, if the Supreme Court, which I don't doubt they will, but if the Supreme Court finds that people under the 1964 Civil Rights Act have that right, they have that right as citizens to not be discriminated against based on their sexual orientation. That means that they. Oh man, that's so cool. All right. Let's see. A court case will decide the Clean Water Act prohibits. Homeland Security. A case in which the court will decide whether when plaintiffs plausibly allege that a rogue federal law enforcement officer violated clearly established Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, for which there is no alternative legal remedy, the federal courts can and should recognize a claim of damages under Bevins versus 6 unknown named agents, 403 U.S. 1971. Let me see. Where is PragerU versus? Oh, is that not a Supreme Court case? Lawsuit. Is that not a? I thought that was a Supreme Court case. Oh, it's the District Court of Northern California. That's stupid. Anyway, moving on. Nobody's in chat. Oh, fuck. Sorry guys, I just wanted to make a title so that I can differentiate between the 3 different streams. Cool.
You might consider this a grandiose statement, especially since I'm the lead attorney for PragerU.
Yes, it is a grandiose statement, and it's stupid, and you're fucking stupid.
I assure you, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That's because this case is about the most fundamental freedom Americans have: freedom of speech, as enunciated in the First Amendment to the United States.
Okay, PragerU. I've already debunked several of your videos. You have a right to say whatever you want, but when you're purposely misleading people, that's when people should take action. When you're clearly stating lies against known facts, that is when you start. When you're misleading your audience and when you're clearly stating lies in lieu of facts, that's when people should take action.
Constitution. All our freedoms, the very concept of freedom, springs from this right. Lose it, and we're no longer free, not as individuals and not as a nation. I'm not willing to accept that. PragerU doesn't accept that, and you shouldn't either.
I don't. But honestly, it's very hard coming from PragerU because I guarantee you, if the right in this country got their way, there would be no freedom of speech, and they would tout it as a godsend so that, they could put anybody they want into concentration camps. They could round us all up, put us away forever in concentration camps. That's what you want, right? That's what gets your dick hard. Yeah, I know what gets your dick hard. I know you. Anyway.
Okay, so how did we get into this situation? A little background. PragerU is what is called a 501c3, a nonprofit educational media company.
Educational. Mainly because their education is crap.
It's known primarily for its 5-minute videos. In 2016, viewers began to notice that certain PragerU videos were no longer available. YouTube had placed them on its restricted list, which prevents the videos from playing on computers using content filters to screen out violence and pornography. PragerU assumed this was simply a case of bad algorithms, but YouTube said no. Each restricted video had been reviewed by a walking, talking human. The list included diverse titles as Are the Police Racist? By Heather McDonald, Israel's Legal Founding by Alan Dershowitz, and even a video on the Ten Commandments by Dennis Prager. YouTube deemed each one...
Okay, let's go over these. I haven't gone over this one yet, but I have seen it. Basically, she's just kind of like being apologetic to the police and being like, well, we really shouldn't tie the hands of law enforcement. You know, I mean, the police aren't racist. It's a few bad apples, blah, 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 blah. It's all that stuff. And, you know, yeah, there's some bad apples in the police force. Don't get me wrong. I believe that the police are okay people, because I know people who have family and friends who are police officers, and they're good people. But it's not that they... I think the system itself of policing is broken nowadays. I think the system, because now the system is based around the war on drugs and and cops thinking that every criminal is heavily armed. Because if you take a look at the police of the 1950s, they're carrying a revolver, dude. They're not carrying real heavy duty stuff. Even if they did get into a shootout, you know, it's like they had a shotgun in the back of their car, maybe a Thompson submachine gun, you know. They didn't have... I mean, I know you can't compare the time, but just think about that. Not too long... Well, okay. A while ago, in the 1950s and 60s, you had... Basically, what you had was... Shit. Computer not charging? What's going on? Okay, sorry, my computer was like weirdly not charging there. Okay. Anyway, but basically you had police who were actually serving the common good, not, you know, discriminating against... Okay, it's just the lights going out. Okay. This, Israel's legal founding, because yes, while Israel was legally founded by the United Nations and by the British, that doesn't excuse the fact that there were people living there and the UN kind of just went, those are your borders now. They're like, what? And Ten Commandments, you know what? I don't actually know why this one get demonetized, but I can see why these two get demonetized because they're kind of misleading. This one was probably misleading. Again, PragerU lies.
Unsuitable for young people, treating these videos the same as they would, say, for ones containing pornography or excessive violence. Keep in mind, this is PragerU we're talking about, as mainstream as you can get. And that ultimate...
It's mainstream. Who says Main Street? It's Main Street. Just taking a walk down Main Street to go to the corner store there. Pick up a handful of soda crackers.
Turns out to be the issue. PragerU's center-right content. Many of their videos, but...
God, that was funny. Did you guys hear the joke? Hold on, I'll play it again.
Be the issue. PragerU's center-right content.
Right there, center right. It's implying that PragerU is not far right. God, is not firmly. Basically, they're just like, oh yeah, they're basically center right. They're not that far. No, God. Yeah, because the Charlottesville lie, that was definitely not a, you know, God damn, son of a bitch.
Many of their videos, by the way, have no political theme at all. Offends YouTube sensibilities. In other words, the videos aren't being restricted to protect young people from inappropriate content. They're being restricted to protect young people from ideas YouTube disagrees with.
Actually, it's more likely that they're doing it because they realized in a lot of your videos that you lie. You just flat out lie sometimes. You leave out, if you're telling a story. Basically, if you're telling a story, you're basically just telling your side of the story and what you want to hear. Because there are so many of your video. I mean, take a look at the three or four videos I've already debunked. You know, if you talk the truth about the Democratic Party, yes, the Democrats were racist at one point. Yes, the Klan was the military arm of the Democrats. But then the Southern strategy happened and the switch of the parties happened. But you're basically saying that it didn't happen. And that truth about Republicans. Republicans championed, keyword championed, civil rights and women and equal rights for women. And now Democrats do. But when Republicans did it, it was noble. But when Democrats do it, they're whiny little soy boy bitches. You can't have it both ways, PragerU. You cannot have it both ways. Like, I don't know. You just lie. The amount of lies that you tell, it hurts. It doesn't actually. It just hurts me that somebody is this stupid that they sat down and wrote that. Alright, let's keep going.
We didn't want to sue. We tried to reach an accommodation. But when YouTube wouldn't take the offending videos off the restricted list, there are now 100 on that list. We had no other option. YouTube was infringing on our right to free speech.
No, it wasn't. Okay, I'm pretty sure that if they take a look at your video and they're like, yeah, this is a lie. Like, they have every right to take you down. Also, what happened to... I can't believe I'm saying this right now, but what happened to... Oh, well, they're a business. Businesses have that right. They're a private business. And free speech really only protects you against the government. It does not protect you against private citizenship. You realize that, right? Hold on, let me pull that up. Oh, what's going on? Oh, my cabo. Nobody's watching. Yeah, nobody's watching me right now. But thank you, Mocabo. You're great. Here we go. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Notice how it actually says, Congress shall make no law. It says nothing about private businesses. Private businesses do not have to follow this. Technically, because they have their own terms of service. If YouTube deems that your video does not fall into their terms of service, then that's their prerogative to restrict you. If they feel that it is that you need to, then yes, that's what they'll do. Okay? Stop. Stop complaining. You like to say freedom of speech, freedom of speech. And yes, we have freedom of speech. But basically, that's just saying that the government can't do it. That means that when Colin Kaepernick kneels for our flag, that's a form of freedom of speech. But no, we have to revoke. Candace Owen wants us to revoke our citizenship if we kneel for the flag because that's disrespectful because the troops. Listen, I have a lot of respect for our men and women who go over and fight. My great uncle, he served in World War II on a destroyer in the Pacific. Miss you, Uncle Al. You know, and I had my stepfather, he served in the Air Force as a mechanic in the 80s. And my ancestors, when they came over to this country, they came here in 1710. And under the name Carlock. And yes, that's exactly how you would think it's spelled. It's spelled Carlock, as in car lock, like locking your car. They fought in the American Revolution and the War of 1812. I have a high respect for anybody in the line of duty, okay? But they fight. They don't fight for a flag. They fight for what's here. They fight for your First Amendment rights. And even soldiers who come back say, yeah, what Colin Kaepernick is doing, that's exactly what I fought for. So good on them. Also, while we're here, Article 2, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Just gonna keep that up just in case we need it again. I think at the end I might go through Mobocho. Okay. So she's talking about polygamy. Yeah. Alright, I'll have to go through the video again because I don't actually know what he's talking about.
Federal court in late 2017 and thereafter in California State Court. Wait a second, you might say. YouTube, which is owned by Google, is a private company.
Yes, I would.
They do anything they want. The answer is yes and no. Yes, if they are a publisher. No, if they are a public forum. So what's the difference? This gets right to the nub of the matter. A publisher chooses the content that resides on its site. The New York Times is a perfect example. You can't write a story and just expect the New York Times to publish it. The Times chooses what appears on its pages or website. And if they publish a story that contains a malicious lie or violates copyright law, they can be sued. PragerU is also a publisher. It decides what material gets placed on its website. Most sites are publishers. In contrast, a public forum, which can be a physical location like the classic town square or a shopping mall, or a virtual location like a website, is a place that must allow individuals and organizations to exercise their free speech rights.
Okay, again. Oh, why do I have to keep bringing this damn thing up? The paradox of not tolerating intolerance, and also the paradox of free speech. Because Free speech is only free speech until you start infringing upon other people's rights. Your freedoms end when you start infringing upon other people's freedoms. That's when your freedoms end. And the paradox of tolerating the intolerant, I've gone over that like so many times, that if you tolerate the intolerant, then the intolerant will take advantage of that, and they'll use it against you and take over the system and then push out the tolerance. Listen, PragerU, can you go back to your cesspool that you came from, please? Because listen, yes, YouTube is a public forum, but if you're posting things that are just malicious lies, they have every right to take them down. Just like they have every right to take down if somebody posts a video that basically, that advocates for a Holocaust 2, Electric Boogaloo. Or on Facebook, if they say that, the Jews are replacing us. They have every right to take that down. Again, it's a thing called terms of service. You have to read the terms of service. And if you post something that they deem is against their terms of service, they have every right to. They still are a private company with terms of service. Just because they're a public forum, like, you can't get out in the town square and shout whatever you want, because you will be arrested depending on what you're shouting. And depending on how you are in the town square.
YouTube is an example of a public forum. In fact, YouTube describes itself as a public forum. You make a video, YouTube hosts it, and anyone with an internet connection can watch it. Facebook is also a public forum, and so is Twitter. Here's why this is so important. A public forum under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, a law co-sponsored by Democrats and Republicans and passed by Congress in 1996, is not subject to liability for content placed on its site. If someone posts a video about how to build a bomb or writes a threatening comment, the public forum website cannot be held legally responsible for that content. That's a good thing.
No, actually, I think they should be legally held responsible. I mean, like, if somebody's posting a video on how to build a bomb, they should have every right to take down that video and send that to the police. Be like, yeah, this is his IP address, and this is, because that's dangerous. Alright, comments, yeah, some people are just trolling, but some people are serious. You never know what's what, honestly, with comments.
Gives YouTube and other public forums the chance to host a wide variety of material, from nature videos to political diatribes, without fear of being sued. And it worked. And then it didn't. A few years ago, the social media giants, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, started to behave not like public forums, but like publishers. They stopped following Section 230, which specifically requires that these websites promote a true diversity of political discourse.
They can have all the discourse they want, but if you're going against their terms of service, they have every right to take you off their platform. It's that simple. If you're going against their terms of service, rules that are clearly set by the company, you can be demonetized, be restricted, or taken off the website if they feel that it is necessary. It's common sense. Why am I advocating for the company? And there is a true diversity of political discourse. There are a lot more far right. Hey, get out of there! Come on, come here. Sorry, my cat's doing some weird stuff. Come here, come here. All right. listen. There is a lot of political discourse. There are a lot more right-leaning and right-wing political commentators, and there are lot of left-wing political commentators as well. I mean, I'm just adding my name to the list of them now, honestly, but just think about that, okay? Listen. Stop! Hold on. You gonna sit there quietly? Alright. Just roll the rest of the fucking video, I don't care.
And began to judge content by their own political and social criteria.
No, they didn't. Come here. Okay, sorry about that. Listen, they're not judging it. Okay, Steven Crowder put out a video. Well, okay, the Crowder channel put out a video called Top 5, which I'm going to respond to eventually. If I remember where it is. It's in my watch later section. I don't know where it is.
In other words, the social media giants want it both ways. They want the protections of a public forum and the editorial control of a publisher.
No, they don't. If you're putting things that are just genuinely misleading out there, they have every right to stop you. Hold on, just like I have every right to stop my cat. Stop chewing on my cords. Say hi again to YouTube. Hi. Hi, YouTube. Say fuck you, PragerU. Fuck you, PragerU. Wanna say fuck you, PragerU? Wanna say it? Wanna say something? Wanna say something? Go ahead, say something. Say hi. Say hi. Alright, let's finish this video.
We're fine if they're a publisher, and we're fine if they're a public forum. They just can't be both. If we win our legal action, YouTube will have to return to the way things were when they started. That's freedom. But if we lose, YouTube gets to act as a publisher while pretending to be a public forum. That would mean much less freedom, and then eventually, no freedom.
Wow, way to paint that dystopian picture there. Oof. Okay, listen. The fact that you're saying this is just hilarious to me because you guys don't know what freedom of speech is. You just want to say hateful things, you want to say things that are wrong, and have no consequences about it. There's a video, I didn't finish, but there's a video that Steven Crowder put out, and it's called Top 5 Ways the Left Sexualizes Kids. But nowhere in that video do they truly show an example. And the one time that they do sort of show an example, it's really not an example. So basically they have no examples in that video. So the fact that they're putting stuff out there like that just to fearmonger, essentially. What's up? Basically to fearmonger, like, it's disgusting what you do, PragerU.
Because the most powerful internet sites on earth will determine what you see and what you don't. I'm Eric George, managing partner, Brown George Ross, for Prager University.
I don't get nearly paid enough to defend this piece of shit lawsuit. Okay. Hello, one person watching. I don't know who's watching right now. 2 people watching at one point. Well, I think I'm done. I watched that video. I'm good. I'm done. Let's see. What other video do I want to watch? Oh, here it is. Top 5 lays. Left sexualizes kids. Leftists. You know what? For you, one person still in who's watching this, well, let's watch one more video. And then I'll be done. We'll watch Why the Democratic South Became Republican. I'm good.
Once upon a time,
Oh,
every
this bitch
student
again.
of history, and that meant pretty much everyone with a high school education, knew this. The Democratic Party was the party of slavery and Jim Crow, and the Republican Party was the party of emancipation and racial integration. Democrats were the Confederacy, and Republicans were the Union. Jim Crow Democrats were dominant in the South, and socially tolerant Republicans were dominant in the North.
Yeah, this is all true. What are you doing? She's like right up behind my setup here. She's like right behind my laptop. Hold on, let me try and get her out. Come on. Enough. Enough play. I love you. Yeah.
But then, in the 1960s and 70s, everything supposedly flipped. Suddenly the
Fucking supposedly. You're supposed to be a professor. What professor are you again? Hold on, let me just check because I don't know what. A professor of political science and law. And you don't know that the party switched.
Suddenly the Republicans became the racists and the Democrats became the champions of civil rights. Fabricated by left-leaning academic elites and journalists, the story went like this.
Oh my God.
Republicans couldn't win a national election by appealing to the better nature of the country. They could only win by appealing to the worst. Attributed to Richard Nixon, the media's all-purpose bad guy.
I mean, Richard Nixon. He's a very complex man, but he's also just a bad man. If you listen to some of the tapes of him in the Oval Office, like he is not nice. You know, I don't have a problem with people saying that he's an all-purpose bad guy. You know,
This came to be known as the Southern Strategy. It was very simple.
I love how you put that in air quotes, considering the fact that it actually exists.
Win elections by winning the South. And to win the South, appeal to racists. So the Republicans, the party of...
I mean, the South doesn't necessarily have to be racist. I mean, you stereotype the South.
were to now be labeled the party of rednecks. But this story of the two parties switching identities is a myth. In fact, it's 3 myths.
It's fucking not a myth. It's an actual documented thing. Like, okay, let's go over this. Let's just...
wrapped into one false narrative. Let's take a brief look at each myth in turn.
Yes, let's, because you're wrong on all of them. I guarantee you.
Myth number 1. In order to be competitive in the South, Republicans started to pander to white racists in the 1960s. Fact, Republicans actually became competitive in the South as early as 1928 when Republican Herbert Hoover won over 47% of the South's popular vote against Democrat Al Smith. In 1952, Republican President Dwight Eisenhower won the southern states of Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. And in 1956, he picked up Louisiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia too. And that was after he supported the Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board. desegregated public schools, and after he sent the 101st Airborne to Little Rock Central High School to enforce integration.
Okay, let's look at those maps, shall we? Election of 1928. Alright, let's see. Okay, well, just looking at this picture here, Al Smith looks like he got Massachusetts and Rhode Island there, but if I'm not mistaken, it looks like he won the Deep South. You know, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Huh. That's odd. Also, love how you're picking elections. You picked this election, and then you picked the 19, what was it? 50 and 52 election? Was it the 1952 election? Yes, the 1952 presidential election. Again, look at that. Huh, look at it. Yeah, you picked up Tennessee. Good for you. Get Tennessee and Virginia. Look, good for you. But look at this. You got Kentucky, you got West Virginia, you got now you got North Carolina and South Carolina, and Georgia and Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. It's almost like the Deep South is still voting Democrat at this time. 1958. Election of 1958. Ah, shit, what was it? That was not 1958, was it? It's 1956. I'm sorry, I can't keep my dates straight, apparently. Never mind. Election 1956. Again, look at that. Still got those southern... Yeah, you lost Louisiana, but look. North, South, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. You even picked up Missouri. Look at that. Again. Look. They're getting clobbered.
And after he sent the 101st Airborne to Little Rock Central High School to enforce integration. Myth number 2, Southern Democrats, angry with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, switched parties.
Okay. Well, she didn't mention... She did... fuck me. She did not... What she didn't mention was... Election... What the fuck? Look at this. The election of 1964 with Barry Goldwater running against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. How curious. When he ran against the Civil Rights Act of 1964, he won South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. He also won Arizona, but that's kind of because he was from Arizona, so... Again, this is where the Southern strategy really came into practice. Let's look at the election of 1968. Because this is also a big one. Look at that. When Richard Nixon was elected, you got Richard Nixon versus Hubert Humphrey versus George Wallace. Okay? Humphrey didn't do shit. Sorry, Humphrey. But Nixon won by a pretty large margin. But look at the states that were won by Wallace. And for those of you who don't know, George Wallace ran under the Dixiecrat Party. Because this man was a staunch supporter of segregation. He's famous for saying, Segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. That's one of his famous, it's one of the most famous things he's ever said. He was an intense segregationalist. So, a segregationist won the states of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Quite curious. PragerU, why don't you talk about those two?
Fact. Of the 21 Democrats
Also, can we talk about this?
in 1964 switched parties.
Obviously, nobody's saying that they switched parties. They just didn't feel welcome in the Democratic Party. And a lot of the old guard were voted out for newer people who actually supported the Civil Rights Act.
Fact. Of the 21 Democratic senators who opposed the Civil Rights Act, just one became a Republican.
Yeah, and granted, that one was a very, very, very influential person in later life. I'll tell you who it is in a second. I just gotta